Ever wonder why some people never get played? They see through every scheme. They dodge every trap. They walk through a world full of manipulators completely untouched. Meanwhile, others get used, deceived, and controlled over and over again. So what do they know that you don't? I am about to expose something that is going to change how you see every interaction you have. Right now, people are manipulating you and you don't even know it. Your boss, your friends, your family, even strangers. They're using psychological tricks against you that you've never been taught to recognize. That time you agreed to something you didn't want to do. You were manipulated. That decision you made that benefited everyone except you. You were manipulated. That relationship where you gave everything and got nothing. You were manipulated. And it keeps happening because you are psychologically defenseless. But here is what changes everything. 500 years ago, Machiavelli wrote the definitive guide on human manipulation. Not to help people manipulate, but to expose exactly how manipulation works. And once you understand these mechanics, you become impossible to control. What if I told you that manipulation only works on people with specific psychological vulnerabilities? That there are 9 tricks you can learn today that will make you immune to almost every form of psychological control, that the same knowledge manipulators use against you can be your shield. This isn't paranoia. This is psychological self-defense. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how manipulators identify their targets and why you've been one of them. You'll learn 9 specific psychological defenses that make you virtually impossible to manipulate, and you'll transform from someone who gets played into someone who sees every game before it starts. Are you ready to stop being everyone's puppet and start pulling your own strings? Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am uncontrollable. Before we get to the 9 tricks, you need to understand why you've been vulnerable. Manipulators don't pick targets randomly. They look for specific psychological weaknesses. And if you've been manipulated repeatedly, you have at least one of these vulnerabilities. The need for approval. If you care too much what others think, you are easy to manipulate through flattery and social pressure. Fear of conflict. If you avoid confrontation at all costs, you are easy to manipulate through aggression and intimidation. Excessive empathy. If you always see the other person's perspective, you are easy to manipulate through fake vulnerability, guilt susceptibility. If you feel responsible for others' emotions, you are easy to manipulate through blame and shame, low self-worth. If you don't believe you deserve better, you are easy to manipulate into accepting whatever you are given. These vulnerabilities are doors, and manipulators know exactly how to walk through them. Machiavelli wrote, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that one who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." The key phrase is, allow themselves. You've been allowing manipulation by leaving these psychological doors wide open. The 9 tricks we're about to cover will seal every single one of them. Now let's get to the defenses. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My mind is a fortress. Number 1. The strategic pause. Here's the first trick that makes you impossible to manipulate. Never respond immediately to anything that triggers an emotional reaction. Manipulators count on your reflexive responses. They craft their attacks to trigger automatic reactions before your logical mind can engage. Think about how manipulation typically works. Someone says something designed to trigger guilt, fear, or urgency. Your emotions spike. You react before thinking. You agree to something, reveal something, or commit to something you wouldn't have if you'd taken time to think. The manipulator wins because they bypassed your conscious decision making. The strategic pause breaks this cycle completely. When someone triggers an emotional reaction, you simply don't respond immediately. You say, "Let me think about that." You say, "I'll get back to you." You say absolutely nothing and let the silence hang. Machiavelli observed that rushed decisions favor the person creating the urgency. When you refuse to be rushed, You strip manipulators of their primary weapon. They can't trigger reactions if you don't react. They can't exploit emotions if you don't emote on their timeline. Practice this in low-stakes situations. First, when someone asks you a question, pause for 3 seconds before answering, even if you know the answer immediately. When someone makes a request, say you'll think about it even if you are inclined to say yes. Build the habit of inserting space between stimulus and response. The pause becomes your superpower. It gives your logical mind time to catch up with your emotions. It makes you unpredictable because manipulators can't anticipate delayed reactions. It signals that you are not someone who can be pushed into quick decisions. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I respond. I don't react. Number 2. Emotional detachment on demand. The second trick is the ability to disconnect emotionally whenever you choose. Manipulators need your emotions to control you. If they can't access your emotions, they can't access you. This doesn't mean becoming cold or unfeeling. It means developing the ability to observe your emotions without being controlled by them. It means being able to step outside your emotional experience and analyze situations objectively, even while feeling strong feelings. Think of it like this. Imagine watching a movie. You feel the emotions the movie creates, fear, excitement, sadness, but you know they're not really yours. You can feel them and still know you are sitting safely in a theater. Emotional detachment is bringing that same observer awareness to real life. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Wise people detach immediately when they sense manipulation. Fools get swept up in emotions first and only gain perspective after the damage is done. When you sense someone trying to trigger your emotions, consciously activate detachment. Internally narrate what is happening. This person is trying to make me feel guilty. This person is creating false urgency. This person wants me angry, so I'll make a rash decision. This narration creates distance between you and the manipulation. The key phrase is on demand. You are not always detached. That would make you miss genuine connection. But you can become detached instantly whenever you sense something's off. Like a switch, you can flip whenever you need to protect yourself. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My emotions serve me. Number 3. Radical skepticism. The third trick is assuming everything requires verification until proven otherwise. Manipulators count on you taking claims at face value. Radical skepticism forces them to provide evidence they usually don't have. Most people believe what they're told unless given reason to doubt. They trust by default and only become skeptical after being deceived. This is backwards. By the time you are questioning, the manipulation has already worked. Radical skepticism flips the script. You doubt by default and only believe after verification. Not because you are paranoid or negative, but because you understand that claims are cheap and proof is valuable. Anyone can say anything. What can they actually demonstrate? Machiavelli warned. One who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived. You stop allowing deception by requiring evidence. When someone makes a claim, ask yourself, what evidence supports this? What is their motivation to tell me this? What do they gain if I believe them? This applies to emotions too. When someone seems sad or hurt, ask yourself if their emotions match the situation or if they're performing for effect. When someone claims to have your best interests at heart, examine their track record of actually serving your interests. Manipulators use fake emotions and false concern constantly. Radical skepticism doesn't mean being hostile or accusatory. You can doubt internally while remaining perfectly pleasant externally. You simply hold all information as provisional until you've verified it through independent sources or observable evidence. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I verify everything. Number 4. The broken record technique. The fourth trick is repeating your position without explanation, justification, or escalation. Manipulators love to argue because arguments give them new material to work with. Every explanation you provide is another angle they can attack. Here is how manipulators typically work. They make a request. You say no. They ask why. You explain, they argue with your explanation. You defend, they find holes in your defense. You explain more. The conversation goes in circles while they chip away at your resistance. The broken record technique ends this cycle completely. You state your position once when they push back. You repeat it without additional explanation. No, that doesn't work for me. They argue. No, that doesn't work for me. They guilt trip. No, that doesn't work for me. Same words, same calm tone. Zero new information. Machiavelli understood that engagement is what manipulators want. When you refuse to engage beyond your simple position, you give them nothing to work with. They can't argue with, "That doesn't work for me," because it is not an argument. It is a statement of fact about your decision. The key is no escalation. Don't get louder. Don't get angry. Don't add explanations to fill awkward silences. Just repeat your position like a calm, friendly, broken record. Most manipulators give up within 3 to 5 repetitions because they realize their usual techniques aren't working. Practice this with small requests first. Get comfortable with the discomfort of not explaining yourself. Realize that no is a complete sentence. Your reasons are yours, and you don't owe them to anyone. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My no needs no explanation. Number 5. Weaponized eye contact. The fifth trick is using eye contact strategically to signal that you cannot be dominated. Manipulators use eye contact to establish dominance and read your reactions. When you control the eye contact, you control the dynamic. Most people either avoid eye contact when uncomfortable, which signals submission, or stare aggressively, which signals that they've been triggered. Both responses tell manipulators they're having an effect. Both give away your psychological state. Weaponized eye contact is calm, steady, and neutral. Not aggressive, not submissive, just present. You look at people directly when they speak. You don't dart your eyes away when conversations get tense. You hold their gaze just slightly longer than feels natural. Then look away smoothly on your own terms. Machiavelli noted that everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. Your eye contact is one of the most visible signals of what you appear to be. Steady, calm eyes make you appear unshakable. Shifting, avoiding eyes make you appear vulnerable. When someone tries to manipulate you, increase your eye contact slightly. Don't stare aggressively. Just become more present, more attentive, more watchful. This signals that you see what they're doing. It makes them feel observed, which is the last thing a manipulator wants. Practice in the mirror first. Get comfortable looking at yourself without flinching. Then practice with strangers in low-stakes situations. Build up to maintaining calm eye contact during disagreements and negotiations. Your eyes should say, "I see exactly what you are doing," without your mouth saying anything. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My gaze doesn't waver. Number 6. The direct question strike. The sixth trick is using pointed questions to expose manipulation in real time. Manipulators depend on keeping their tactics hidden. Direct questions drag everything into the light. When you sense manipulation, don't defend or explain. Ask a direct question that exposes what they're doing. What exactly are you asking me to do? Why do you need me to decide this right now? What happens if I say no? Is this a request or a demand? These questions force manipulators to state their intentions explicitly. They can no longer hide behind implications, suggestions, and emotional pressure. They either have to reveal what they actually want or retreat entirely. Machiavelli wrote, "The lion cannot protect himself from traps, but questions are how you become the fox who recognizes the trap." Every direct question is a spotlight that makes hidden manipulation visible. The key is asking with genuine curiosity, not aggression. You are not accusing, you are just seeking clarity. Help me understand what you are saying. I am confused about what you want from me. Can you be more specific about what you are asking? Master these question categories. Clarification questions expose vague manipulation. Timeline questions expose false urgency. Consequence questions expose hidden agendas. Motivation questions expose selfish intent. The more you question, the harder you become to manipulate. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I question everything. Number 7. Controlled vulnerability. The 7th trick seems counterintuitive. Strategically showing weakness makes you stronger. Manipulators often use your secrets and flaws against you. When you expose them yourself, you remove their ammunition. Here is how this works. Manipulators gather information about your weaknesses, mistakes, and insecurities. They store these as weapons to use when they need leverage. The threat of exposure gives them power over you even if they never actually use it. Controlled vulnerability neutralizes this entirely. You openly acknowledge your flaws before anyone can weaponize them. I know I am not perfect at this. I made a mistake here, and here is what I learned. This is something I struggle with. Now, what can they hold over you? Machiavelli understood that appearances are more important than reality, for reality is often hidden. When you control your own narrative, including your weaknesses, you control how you appear. No one can reveal something you've already revealed yourself. The key word is controlled. You choose what to reveal, when to reveal it, and how to frame it. You don't spill everything to everyone. You strategically share specific vulnerabilities in ways that remove their power while building connection with genuine people. This also tests people's intentions. When you share a vulnerability, watch how they respond. Do they use it to connect or file it away as future ammunition? Do they share something back or just collect your disclosure? Controlled vulnerability reveals who is safe and who is dangerous. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My truth protects me. Number 8. Pattern recognition mastery. The 8th trick is watching what people do repeatedly instead of listening to what they say once. Manipulators are masters of words but slaves to patterns. Their behavior over time always reveals their true nature. Words are easy to manipulate. Anyone can say anything, promise anything, explain anything. But patterns are nearly impossible to fake over time. Someone might say they care about you, but do they consistently act like it? Someone might say they'll change, but have they changed before? Machiavelli warned, men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. Most people judge by words they hear. Wise people judge by patterns they observe. Your eyes should track behavior while your ears remain skeptical of words. Start tracking patterns in everyone around you. Does this person consistently cancel plans? Does this person always take but never give? Does this person make promises they don't keep? Does this person flip between charm and cruelty? The pattern tells you who they really are, regardless of whatever they say. Once you see a pattern, believe it. Don't make excuses for it. Don't think this time will be different. Don't fall for explanations that contradict what you've consistently observed. Manipulators survive by getting you to doubt your own pattern recognition. Trust what you've seen repeatedly over what you are being told once. The person who sees patterns becomes impossible to manipulate because manipulation always follows patterns. The love bombing, the intermittent reinforcement, the gradual boundary pushing, the guilt cycling. Once you recognize these patterns, you see them starting from the first move. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Patterns don't lie. Number 9. The pre-commitment anchor. The final trick is deciding your boundaries before you are in situations that test them. Manipulators succeed by catching you in moments of weakness, confusion, or pressure. Pre-commitment removes these vulnerabilities entirely. Here is how pre-commitment works. Before you enter any situation where manipulation is possible, you decide in advance what you will and won't accept. You set clear lines that cannot be crossed. You rehearse your responses to likely manipulation attempts. When the moment comes, you are not deciding. You are executing a decision already made. Think about soldiers before battle. They don't decide their values under fire. They've trained so thoroughly that their responses are automatic. Pre-commitment does the same thing for psychological situations. When manipulation comes, you don't think. You respond from decisions made in safety and clarity. Machiavelli wrote, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." The wise person sets boundaries before they're tested. The fool waits until they're under pressure and tries to figure out their limits while being actively manipulated. Create your pre-commitments now. I don't lend money to people who haven't repaid previous loans. I don't agree to anything that requires immediate decision. I leave any conversation where I am being yelled at. I don't explain myself more than once. These become automatic responses that manipulation can't penetrate. Write your pre-commitments down. Review them regularly. Rehearse scenarios where they might be tested. The stronger your pre-commitment, the less willpower you need in the moment. You are not fighting manipulation. You are simply executing what you've already decided. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My lines are already drawn. So what happens when you master all 9 of these psychological defenses? When you use the strategic pause, emotional detachment on demand, radical skepticism, the broken record technique, weaponized eye contact, direct question strikes, controlled vulnerability, pattern recognition, and pre-commitment anchoring, everything changes. First, you stop being a target. Manipulators are efficient. They don't waste time on people who clearly can't be manipulated. When you demonstrate these defenses, they move on to easier prey. You become invisible to those who would exploit you. Second, your real relationships deepen. When you are no longer surrounded by people who exploit you, you have space for people who genuinely care. Your connections become based on mutual respect rather than manipulation and compliance. Third, your self-respect skyrockets. Every manipulation you prevent is a victory for your self-worth. You stop being someone things happen to and become someone who decides what happens. That shift transforms how you see yourself. Fourth, your decision-making improves dramatically. Without manipulation clouding your judgment, you make choices based on what is actually best for you. Your life starts moving in directions you actually want, rather than directions others pushed you toward. Machiavelli wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both." The fear you create isn't terror. It is the fear manipulators have of wasting their time on someone they can't control. That fear is your protection. If you've made it this far, you are different from most people. Most people would rather believe they're never manipulated than learn how to actually prevent it. Most people's egos can't handle admitting they've been controlled. But you are still here, which means you are ready to face the uncomfortable truth that you've been manipulated and do something about it. That takes courage. That takes honesty. That takes exactly the kind of self-awareness that manipulation can't touch. Remember what we've covered. The strategic pause breaks reactive patterns. Emotional detachment on demand removes their access to your feelings. Radical skepticism requires proof instead of trust. The broken record technique ends their arguments. Weaponized eye contact signals you can't be dominated. Direct question strikes expose hidden manipulation. Controlled vulnerability removes their ammunition. Pattern recognition reveals their true nature. Pre-commitment anchoring makes your boundaries automatic. Together, these 9 tricks form an impenetrable psychological defense. Machiavelli wrote, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." The danger here is that implementing these defenses will change your relationships. Some people will fall away when they can no longer manipulate you. That is not a bug. That is the feature. If this video armed you against the manipulators in your life, smash that like button. If you know someone who keeps getting played and needs these defenses, share it with them. And if you want more psychological weapons for navigating a world full of people who want to control you, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. The transformation from easy target to impossible to manipulate starts with a single decision. You've just watched the blueprint. Now it is time to build your defenses. Drop this final affirmation in the comments. No one controls me. Remember, in a world full of people trying to manipulate you, the person who sees every game before it starts holds all the power. Be that person, stay impossible to control, and watch how everything in your life transforms when you finally stop being everyone's puppet.